Good afternoon, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I was on yesterday and I did a video about your right to bear arms, and I wanted to expand upon that because in that video I explained to you how the Second Amendment extends so much farther in this commercial system than a lot of people realize it. And it's because everything is all converted and twisted and serpentined and put out backwards and everything. So if you saw that video yesterday, the expression of the right to bear arms in the Second Amendment is actually directly relative to your right to an armorial bearing. And that is from where you come from. And so I wanted to expand upon that today because it doesn't just encompass the Second Amendment. That right to armorial bearing is something that everything that they put out in regards to independence, Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, the Constitution, all the state laws, the federal laws, all the commercial codes, they're all subsequent to one's armorial rights, armorial bearings. And so we're going to go over that a little bit. And before I get into the Constitution part, we're going to go to the King James Version of the Bible. Everybody knows that I like to refer everything to the Bible. So we're going to and as we see here, Romans 13 Romans 13 out of the King James Version of the Bible says, "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers." Period. Right there, right from the start. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. Let every soul be subsequent unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Pure and simple. And when we go to the First Amendment, well, where's it going? The First Amendment guarantees freedom concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over the others and also restricting an individual's religious practices. It guarantees freedom of expression by prohibiting Congress from restricting the press or the rights of individuals to speak freely. The Word of God, the power, any power ordained is that of God. And that's why we are allowed to speak freely, because it comes from no one else. He gave us the voice. He gave us the voice to sing. This is Colossians 3. "If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God." So if you're risen from the Constitution, then you have nothing to do with this. But if the Constitution is subsequent, if ye then be risen with Christ, if you're not risen by the Constitution, what are you risen by? What raised you? And this is an interesting one, because as it starts out, if ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God, and ends with, but he that doth wrong, or doeth wrong, shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. And there is no respect of persons. This is directly relative to the First Amendment. Well, not just the First Amendment, but, well, you can read that from here. It says, Congress, and you should know it anyway. You should know this. Congress shall make no law. Who makes the law? Is the law already made? Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Therefore, any law that they make has to come from God. So they can't make any laws, period. They really can't make any laws. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Well, if that's the case, then what's the rest of the Constitution? What is the rest of the Constitution if Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion? The rest of the Constitution is persons. All has to do with persons. So as we spoke of yesterday in the Second Amendment, it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. And notice arms is capitalized. And it is not armorial bearing, it's bear arms. As I explained in yesterday's video, that is inherently wrong. We have a right to armorial bearing. And that is what shall not be infringed, because as we saw in the First Amendment, they can't make any laws respecting your armorial bearing. Period. So then we go to the third. The Third Amendment says no soldier, again it's capitalized, shall in time of peace, in time of peace. Who's declaring war? If somebody else has declared war upon another people, and those two people are at war, and one of them wants to come use your place as a place to quarter, are you the one at war? Or is it this Constitution setup of persons that's at war? This is where we're at today, people. All these wars are commercial wars. Every last one of them. And we're supposed to be in peace. Just because they're at war doesn't mean we have to quarter them in our house of God. Period. Without the consent of the owner. Nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Like I said, and again in that First Amendment, they can't prescribe any law except for person, period. Nothing. So let's look at the Fourth Amendment. And it says the right of the people. But even here, when they speak of the people, they are specifically referencing persons to be secure in their persons. The people here as it says, we the people. See how people's capitalized? That's a specific people. Those are people in commerce of the United States. And then they go on to say in that preamble, the very first words after that, in order to form a more perfect union. Union is capitalized, and that means, in regards to we the people of the commercial United States, it is a labor union. Justice is capitalized. Tranquility is capitalized. Welfare is capitalized. Blessings is capitalized. Liberty is capitalized. And our posterity is capitalized. To do, ordain, and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So when we see this people, it is a commercial people. Despite the fact that they don't have it capitalized, it is in the Fourth Amendment, after the First Amendment, telling us they can establish no laws respecting the establishment of religion. To be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects. Persons we see each one of us has. In the Bible it speaks of persons, but he is a respecter of no persons. We can operate that person if we're operating through his word, and it is a viable act. We have to do it in his house, not their houses of taxes, not their houses of courts, not their public houses, not their Republican houses. Papers are the ancient documents, the biblical scriptures, not today's legal labor papers, legal labor union papers, and effects. Effects are that of the persons of the people, dependent upon where that people comes from. Is it coming from the Constitution, or is it coming from the people of God, the children of God? Against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrants. Again, you see warrants. That's a specific type of warrant. That is a commercial warrant. Shall issue. Issue is a commercial term, but upon probable cause, which is another commercial term, supported by oath. Again, notice oath is capitalized because that is not the oath that is already prescribed in the Bible. The oath which he gave unto us and we accept when we walk into their public houses and start accepting their oath, we have forgotten the oath we accepted by him. Pure and simple. Or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or persons or things to be seized. You have an armorial bearing. You have a right to an armorial bearing to correct that capitalization of that oath. Correct the capitalization of that warrant. Correct the status of the people they speak of here in regards to the person's housing papers and effects and where they actually come from. And it has nothing to do with the laws established through the Constitution or thereby subsequent to. Because the Constitution itself is subsequent to the powers that be ordained of God. Then it goes on and says, whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. So when they deny, even in their own constitution, when they deny anyone, any people, their First Amendment right that the Constitution supports, the right supported within the Constitution. The right is not in the Constitution. The right is ordained by God. And the Constitution supports it. If they discontinue that support, then they are the ones that are resisting the power that they are instituting in that Constitution with institution. The powers that be are already instituted in life. Period. Let's go to the Fifth Amendment, where we talk about no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. Excuse me? No person shall be held to answer. Excuse me, the answers are already there. The answers are already there. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. I'm sorry, this Constitution does not apply to myself. It applies to the personage. If ye then are risen with Christ, if this Constitution is not risen with Christ, and does not seek those things which are above where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God, mortify there your members. Mortify. This is their mortgage. Therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of the disobedience, in the which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them. No one is free of sin. Particular if you're saying with the institution of United States of America. And then that first sentence in the Constitution says, Congress shall make no law. No law. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. There can be no other law made, because let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. We are already subject to the law of love, not war. The Sixth Amendment in all criminal prosecutions. These criminal prosecutions under this Constitution are again, but he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. The accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. Why is my trial public? Isn't God the trier? Isn't God the judge? Isn't God the jury? Isn't God the executioner? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And then it goes on to say, by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. Which district shall have been previously ascertained as certain. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. Shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. So right there, even though they recognize by law the power that is ordained in that very first verse, they forget about 4. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. And be informed to the nature and cause of the accusation is an administrative process. That is an administrative process of being informed. Inform. They are writing it down on pieces of paper so that you shall enjoy the right. Sorry, but he's already judged. He's already judged all of this. To be confronted with the witness against him. This is a direct violation of Matthew 18 verses 15 through 18. Or 15 through 21. Where we're supposed to go to our brother in private and not public. Every last one of these is a violation to your right of armorial bearing, of going to your God first. The powers that be ordained of God first. Period. This is how powerful your supposed Constitution is, people. The Seventh Amendment clearly states in suits. What's a suit, folks?